So you need a new camera, phone, lens, computer. What do? Exactly. You check out every review on whatever it is you want to buy here on YouTube, and I do exactly the same. But now that I've been running this channel for a few years and having done numerous reviews myself, I've noticed that there's a few problems with reviews here on YouTube. So I think it's time to review the reviews. Yeah. And I'm making this video because I don't want you to make the wrong decision when you're planning to buy an expensive piece of gear. And I've seen it happen multiple times. Just read the comment sections underneath review videos. And the thing is, it's not always the reviews that are the problem. Sometimes it's you and me watching the reviews. So let me explain. The first part of the problem, there's two parts. The first part, and I'm still amazed that so many people still don't get this, not liking something is not the same as it being bad. I repeat, not liking something is not the same as it being bad. Those are two different things. When I say that I don't like something, doesn't mean that you're not gonna like it, and also the other way around. When I say that I like something, that doesn't mean that you have to like it or that you're gonna like it. I feel that this is gonna be one of those rant videos. It's coming up and I don't think I'm gonna be able to stop it, so prepare for this. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so you have to make sure to separate the objective information from the subjective information in a review. I always try to make it very, very clear when I make a review, the difference between facts and personal opinion, personal experience. But even then, some people just don't get it. Why? It's not that hard. For example, recently I got a comment on one of my videos saying that the Sony a7S III takes bad photos. What? The photos look amazing. What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. The Sony a7S III takes amazing photos. They're small. That's a fact. Just 12 megapixels. That's small. But that doesn't mean that they're bad. If you need high resolution photos, 20, 50 megapixels, then sure, the Sony a7S III is not for you. But it doesn't take bad photos. Bad photos can be the result of you being a lousy photographer or a technical problem or a limit. Photos that are always out of focus. Okay, bad photos. Photos that have so much noise when taken in low light that all the detail gets lost. Bad photos. But low resolution photos are not bad photos. And even the example with the noise. You know, what for me is an acceptable amount of noise might not be acceptable for you. Very important. Now, you could say then that you should try to only watch 100% objective reviews. Yeah, well, first of all, I don't know if that's even possible, if that exists. I mean, some reviewers get pretty close, but 100% objective? That's difficult. My reviews have more subjective information than objective information because, you know, I think that's important too. I think we need both. We need personal opinions, personal experiences, and the facts, the objective information. I think both are really interesting as long as it's clear what's fact and what's personal opinion, what's personal experience. And here's the second part of the problem. Let's say you find a 100% objective review with charts and graphs comparing two lenses, for example. And at the end of the review, the conclusion is that the more expensive lens is better than the cheaper option. It's sharper, it doesn't have purple fringing, and the contrast is better. So side by side, it looks like the more expensive option is the best option. But is that really true? And that's also why I don't like to, you know, stuff my videos with 100% objective factual information. And I'm not bashing on reviewers who try to give 100% factual objective information because we need those reviews. Again, I think we need both. But the problem is, how do I explain this? I'm gonna give you an example. It's easier to explain. So my favorite lens right now is the Sony 35mm 1.8. I'm filming this video with that lens. And of course, before I decided to buy the Sony 35mm, I watched a lot of reviews. And a lot of the reviews said that the Sony 35mm 1.8 had a bit of purple fringing, and it was not as sharp in the corners. So the more expensive options didn't have those things, they were better. But I decided to go for the Sony anyway, because I also found some real-life footage and real-life images, and they looked fine to me. So I went for the 35mm, the Sony, the cheaper option, because the real-life images, the real-life experience looked great. And it is. I've been using it for a few years now, and not once have I seen purple fringing, or at least an amount that bothered me. And it's also plenty sharp enough for what I'm using it. So if I would have gone with the charts and the graphs showing me that the more expensive option was better, then I would have just spent a whole lot more money, and I would have never known that the cheaper option was actually more than good enough for me. It saved me a lot of money. So the more expensive lenses are probably objectively better, but for me, they were not the best option, because I rather save some money. And I'm 100% satisfied with the results of this lens. More than 100%. That's not possible, but I'm still gonna say it, more than 100%. Now look, if you're an astrophotographer, for example, then I can imagine that it will bother you that it's not tack sharp and that there's purple fringing in the corners and smeared out stars when you take a nice star picture. I have no idea why you would do that. I'm not into it. But yeah, so you know what I mean, right? I hope you know what I mean, because I'm putting a lot of energy in this rant, and it has to pay off. I want to see results in the comments. So what I'm trying to say is that you should always look at those graphs and charts from your perspective. Who are you as a photographer or a videographer or creative person? What do you need? What do you expect? Because the more expensive option, the best option, is not always the best option for you. I mean, you're probably gonna be satisfied when you buy the most expensive option, but was it really necessary to spend all that money? You could have spent that money on something else, invested in Dogecoin. Here's another example. At the beginning of my career, when I was still shooting Canon, I bought the Sigma 35mm 1.4. Amazing lens. But I went for the Sigma because back then I was also watching reviews and reading reviews, and every review said that the Sigma was a lot sharper than some of the cheaper options that I had in mind. Little did I know that the Sigma, for me, was too sharp. And I'm not kidding, this is not a joke to make my point clear. I used to soften the photos that I took with the Sigma 35mm because it was just too sharp for me. I probably would have loved one of the cheaper options just as much, and I would have saved some money, and I could have invested it in Bitcoin and be rich by now. But yeah, I went with the sharpness graphs and the reviews. I spent too much money, and I'm not a billionaire now. So the point of this video is making decisions based on sharpness graphs and reviews will result in you not being a billionaire in 5 years. I mean, do I need to say more? No. Seriously, guys, when you're watching a review, be careful when the conclusion is that the more expensive option is better than the cheaper option. Because what does that mean? Better, it's a dangerous word because it means something different to all of us. Put reviews, put the information in perspective, watch at it from your perspective, separate the subjective information from the objective information so that you can make a good decision. It'll save you money. Think for yourself. Don't just blindly follow a reviewer or a review. Even my reviews, which are in fact the best reviews here on YouTube. And let's end on that. I think that's a good bombshell to end this video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Wow, I feel like that was a very satisfying rant. You know, like, I feel like this could help at least one of you. And then, mission accomplished. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.